Aloha. My name is Susan Jung, and I'm with a company called OEI. And that stands for Outreach, Educate, and Installation of the CapTel phone. And I'm here because I'm really excited to do a little dramedy of the actually, I'll go into it right now, okay? So watch your screen, and here we go. So we're going to go into the Dramedy of the Ears, right? So what I want you to do is remember that what we're going to do is we're going to try to work on the 3 L's. First one is learn, and hopefully you'll go home, or I'm sorry, you're at home, but that you'll be home learning something. And you know what? Whatever you hear, you've heard before, so there's nothing new. I want you to laugh, okay, when I tell my jokes, okay? And of course, leave with at least something that you can go home and maybe practice with. And again, I said, you know what? I'm so sorry, guys. I really feel for you guys, and I'm so glad that you're tuning in because you can't leave anywhere anyway. So you're at home and you're my captured audience. Okay, so let's get started. What today I'm going to talk about is age-related hearing loss, all right? And number one, you are definitely not alone. Did you know that 1 in 10 over 50 years old have hearing loss? And what's worse is 50% over the age of 75 have hearing loss. And this is based on the National Institute of Health. Okay. Now, this is a little graph that I came across, and I thought that was kind of cute. The title is what do I do when you can't hear someone? Okay, so you see the little green slither there? That's for those who just say that they can't hear you. Okay, the purple is for those that will kind of move up closer so that they can hear. All right, the orange, I know some people out there, they're going, what, or even when they're talking to you, what are you saying? And then of course the red, the big old red chunk, is where that's the most popular. And I would say even I am falling into that group where we just smile and just kind of laugh, right? So that we know that we're hoping that they don't ask us a question, okay? So that's the main thing. Now, what I wanted to do was I wanted to tell you a little story, and this story has to do with how we kind of interpret things the way we want to, or we hear things that we want to, okay? So there was a gentleman who was about 86 years old. Let's call him Mr. Kaneshiro, okay? Mr. Kaneshiro went to get his regular doctor's visit, and when he was there, the doctor went over and looked him over and everything, and he left. Now the next week, Dr. Souza, okay, that's his name, Dr. Souza saw him walking down Bishop Street with a fine-looking woman. I mean, she was like a hot mama, and she was just on his arms. He was parading her down the street, and he was so happy. And Dr. Souza said, geez, I better find out what he's doing because there's something going on. So the next visit, when Mr. Kaneshiro went over, Dr. Souza said, Mr. Kaneshiro, what are you doing? I saw you walking down Bishop Street with this fine-looking, really hot mama on your arms, and you were so happy. What's going on? And Mr. Kaneshiro said, well, Doc, I did what you said. You told me to find a hot mama and be cheerful. Dr. Souza looked at him and said, Mr. Kaneshiro, I'm so sorry. What I said was you have a heart murmur and to be careful. Okay, so I hope you got a little giggle out of that, because a lot of times we kind of hear what we want to, and we don't know exactly, and we kind of answer. I have a partner who does that. He hears me, and then he says something, and I'm going, did you hear what I just said? So I know there's a whole bunch of us that are doing that. Now, here is a little graph. I thought this was a cute cartoon. So 3 women walking on the beach, again, hearing what they want to. So the one on the left says, how's about this spot? They were looking for a spot, right? The second one says, yeah, the sand is kind of hot. And the third one says, good, I'm ready for a shot. Okay, now that's another one where each one, and they were standing right next to each other. They were talking and they couldn't hear, or they kind of made up what they wanted to hear. But that's okay, because we have fun, right? That's what life is all about. So hearing loss, it's not a new topic. And we've had hearing challenges for years. I mean, years and years, right? Some of the challenges are, scheduling appointments. How many of you out there have had problems scheduling appointments? You call your doctor and you just can't schedule the appointment. You can't hear what they're saying. Oh, nowadays with COVID, right? You've got ordering groceries online from Times, Foodland, wherever it is, and you're ordering groceries and you don't know if they got your order correctly. And the third one is talking to your grandchildren. This is just a couple of challenges, but talking to your grandchildren, that's so frustrating when, of course, they're talking really high, the high pitch, and they're talking really fast, and it's really a problem. I just wanted to show you the very first hearing aid. Boy, doesn't that look like really old, huh? And then I found this also. This must have been, I don't know, maybe in the 40s, where they had that, you've got to talk into the bottom part there. And I've asked people if anyone's seen it. Have you seen one of these? Oh, okay. Now this one, there were patents for the hearing aids. Can you imagine if this patent went through and people were walking around with those big old things around the ear? I don't think anyone would wear hearing aids. They'd probably continue to go deaf. Now this here, it's sort of like a catalog of all the different years how the hearing aid has changed. So you'll notice 1700s. This is, of course, for the royal people. So they sat down and they were able to, they had a little wire on the top and it went into the ears and they could hear a little bit better. The 1800s, that reminds me like a little pipe, little small pipe. The 1900s, of course, it looked like a record player. Can you imagine going to a dinner and carrying that around? Hi, everybody, I can't hear. I mean, this is a very neglected part of the whole society. Of course, the 1930s, the little iPod, or is that iPod? Yeah, that we carry, well, iPods are out now too, but that looks like an iPod to me. And then the 1950s with the, sort of like a recording, but they started getting smaller. The 70s, the 80s, and present. Some of them are, see how tiny they are? They're even smaller than the size of a nickel. Can you imagine trying to put the batteries in those? Okay. Now, certain voices drive me insane. Okay. Now, certain noises actually. So it's like that thing called your voice. Now, for an example, here is a receptionist. How many of you have called your doctor's office and there's a sweet young little receptionist? Hi, Mr. Kaneshiro, how are you? And it's a very squeaky voice and you have a hard time understanding them, right? And you're saying, what? And I know I've had people tell me, can you speak slower and louder? And of course, when you talk to these young kids, you're telling them, to speak slowly, and they go, okay, and then blah, 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 they start going up again, right? Now here on your right is the actor, James Earl Jones, with his low voice. And I think a lot of people can hear him. And in fact, I know this works because I had someone call me, and I do a lot of my work is the Captioned telephone, which I'm going to go over in just a little bit. But I had someone call me and say, they wanted information about the phone. So I'm talking to them, and they said, you're talking too fast, and you've got to go lower. So I'm going, okay, can you hear me now? And he could. So I'm like, okay. And then I started talking like that throughout the conversation. So sometimes you just have to tell people, right? And I'm sure you folks have. And don't be shy. If you can't hear them, you can't understand them, ask them to speak slower. And I hope I'm not speaking too fast for you folks, okay? I'm sorry. I'll try to slow down too. All right. Now, like I said, it isn't always about the volume. I went and installed a phone once, and the person was really hard of hearing. And I couldn't believe that I would be right in front of them talking to them, and they couldn't hear. I mean, they could hear me, but I had to speak kind of loud. So my volume started going, okay, now this is what you have to do. And it started getting louder. And he looked at me and he said, you don't have to shout. So I've learned it isn't always about the volume. And there are links between hearing loss and mental conditions. I'm sure you've heard about them, but this is always good knowledge, good reminders. Okay? Now, such as anxiety, depression, that's really, really critical. Okay, so a good workout is necessary to stay strong. And as an example, okay, some things to do to stay strong, and these are things you can do, all right, like crossword puzzles, word search, Sudoku. How many of you out there do that? Or play bingo or card games? It's just keeping active, keeping that brain going, okay? Yoga exercises, you know, like the tree, I don't know, the lotus, there's all kinds of different things. And, you know, you can also do exercise. Exercise daily is really important. I mean, even if you sit down on your chair and do your exercises, warm-ups, whatever it is, but get your body going, okay? And when is it time to get a hearing aid? Okay, it is tempting to wait, but here are 3 good reasons. Number 1, your brain will thank you for it, okay? The longer you wait, of course, the harder it is for your brain to get used to the hearing aids, right? Life's better, of course, when you hear better. You hear things that you never thought, or you forgot how it sounded before. Now, this 3rd one really got to me. Hearing loss is linked with dementia. Now, when I saw this, I said, it's got to be, people got to know that they've got to go to the doctor. They have to find out if they have hearing loss, because you don't want dementia. Now, these 3 pictures, what is it that you notice about them? They all have beards. Their face are covered. Many of you, I know, read lips, and you do it very well. Well, I have a solution. Again, I mentioned I'm with CapTel, and we have these phones, and these are, CapTel stands for Captioned telephone. So we've got actually 3 models, but the 3rd one looks like this, so I just thought to save space, we'd use this. But you can see their captions. I mean, you can do things like make it louder, the ring goes louder. This one, you have different, you can change the font size. So if people with diabetes or that have a hard time seeing, you can actually make it extra large so you can see. But there are solutions out there for you. And we all need to make sure that you take care of your hearing. Now, if you've noticed this poster, these phones, which are really nice phones, it's no cost to you, okay? And how do you get it? There is this phone, there's this form, and what you need to do is just have your, put your name, fill it out, go to your doctor, hearing aid specialist, anyone that can certify you have hearing loss, follow the instructions on there, send it out, and it will come to me. And I will do my best to take care of you. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. I hope it wasn't too fast. And enjoy your holidays. Mahalo.